this is Karen.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shane.
Today we're looking at part 2 of
Elon Musk.
From Lonely Nerd
to Billionaire. Yeah.
And the vocabulary words are concept.
Concept.
Engineers at the company have come up with a concept for a new type of jet engine.
Transportation.
Transportation.
The subway is a very convenient form of transportation.
Partial.
Partial.
What Rosie suggested is only a partial solution to the problem.
Resistance.
Resistance.
The building's roof is designed for wind resistance. That's wind. You like wind?
That's right. Possession.
Possession.
Peter sold all of his possessions, cut off all his hair, and became a monk.
Wow.
That's right. Okay, so we're still talking about Elon Musk, right? And how successful he is.
Yeah, and he's still creating new stuff, like there's like a kind of new transportation.
And I heard it's faster than airplane.
Yeah, it's like a partial vacuum and the thing will go in a tube. I don't really quite understand it.
But it's called like Hyperloop or something.
Hyperloop, right.
But I think a lot of companies are already developing this kind of transportation.
Yeah, so he's definitely an innovator, right? But I don't know, he did something a while ago, last year when...
That's right.
When the coronavirus first came out, right?
He kept his factory running, and so that was kind of against the regulations. And also, I remember he wasn't a big fan of wearing masks.
Right.
So that was something that I was kind of, I thought, yeah, that wasn't a really good decision.
Yeah, but nobody's perfect.
That's
and
right.
He does really seem to care about humanity.
Of course.
So he has a different point of view, but like he said, he tweeted that he wants to give up all of his possessions and give half of all of his money to help humanity.
Yes, solve all the problems that we have on Earth.
And then the other half to get to Mars.
Now, he's going to build a city on Mars.
But I doubt
Pretty wild.
I doubt he's going to give up all of his possessions.
Really?
You can tweet anything, right?
Well, I guess time will tell.
That's right.
Okay, let's enjoy today's lesson.
Enjoy.
Elon Musk, from Lonely Nerd to Billionaire.
In 2012, Musk mentioned a concept for a mode of transportation that would be energy efficient and faster than an airplane. The Hyperloop involves creating a partial vacuum inside a sealed tube. A pod traveling through this tube has very little air resistance, so it can travel at great speeds. To help make this vision a reality, the Hyperloop Alpha design was later made open source. Various Hyperloop projects are already being developed by several companies, including Virgin. Hello and welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Kim.
So yesterday we kind of covered the lonely nerd part of the Elon Musk story. That's
Poor Elon.
a strange thing to say. But yeah, he kind of grew up isolated, right? His family was kind of split up through divorce. He grew up in Canada or in South Africa, and his brothers and sisters and mom were in Canada. But finally, he ended up in California, went to Stanford, became a big success on the internet, a very rich young man. And that's kind of where we're going to pick up the story today.
Yes, he founded PayPal and then started investing in other companies like Tesla, which makes cars, and SpaceX, which makes spaceships.
Rockets and stuff like that, yeah. So let's check out today's article and see what happened next. We read, in 2012, Musk mentioned a concept for a mode of transportation that would be energy efficient and faster than an airplane. I think I know the one they're talking about here. Yes, this is just an idea still. I think they might have begun testing it in some small way, but basically it's still kind of a concept.
Yes, it's still a concept. A concept is a principle or idea. It's not a real thing yet, it's just a new idea that's come out of your head. For example, engineers at the company have come up with a concept for a new type of jet engine. They've thought of this idea for a new jet engine.
Right. They might have done some drawings of it or some computer testing, but the idea is they haven't actually built it or made it. It's not working in any way. It's still kind of on paper or in their imagination. Here, the concept was for a new mode or a new kind or form of transportation. And what is transportation? Well, this noun is kind of one of those big words we use to talk about. In this case, basically anything that you use to get from A to B. Your feet are the most basic form of transportation, but generally when we use the word, we're talking about machines that get you around. Cars, trains, bicycles, airplanes, boats, things like that. Any kind of machine that people use to get from one place to another is a form or mode of transportation. For example, the subway is a very convenient form of transportation. An underground train that takes you around a city. It's a very good way of getting around, or a good mode of transportation. But Elon Musk, he's not doing subways.
Oh, too boring for Elon Musk.
That's a proven concept. We have those. He wants to do something no one's ever seen, like the Hyperloop.
That's a cool name.
It is a good name.
I like that.
I gotta say,
it's catchy.
It sounds pretty cool. Let's find out what it is. The Hyperloop involves creating a partial vacuum inside a sealed tube. Yeah, basically imagine a subway, but there's no air in the tunnel. It's just closed off, and you're in a train in this tunnel with no air. All right, so let's learn more about this idea. It says a pod traveling through this tube has very little air resistance, so it can travel at great speeds. Absolutely fascinating. So it's a tube with no air in it, so anything you put in there can just shoot down that tube. It's not pushing against the air, or there's no air resistance. Interesting. So there's a couple important words there that we should figure out. First of all, we said that this Hyperloop would be in a tube with no air. That's actually not true. It would be a partial vacuum.
Yes, partial.
If it's a total vacuum, there would be no air in the tube, but a partial vacuum is a little different.
Yes, partial just means a small part of something. It's not a total vacuum where there's no air. It's a partial vacuum, which means a little bit is still air. For example, what Rosie suggested is only a partial solution to the problem. We have this big problem. What are we going to do? Well, Rosie has solved one part of it. It's partially resolved, but not totally. We still have a problem.
So we're talking about a percentage probably,
Yeah.
right? 20% would be a partial solution. We still have more to do though. So a partial vacuum means there's a little bit of air, but much less than normal, so there is much less wind or air resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is when something pushes back against something, or it's strong enough to stand up to the forces. Wind resistance, the easy way to think about this is think about traveling in a car, going down the highway, you roll down the window, you stick your hand out of the window, whoosh, your hand gets pushed back really quickly with a lot of force because of the wind resistance. The wind is pushing back against your hand. Here's something else that needs good resistance against the wind in our example sentence. The building's roof is designed for wind resistance. Yeah, if you have a home maybe down in Taidong near the beach where the typhoons might come in, your home, that building must be made with a lot of wind resistance to force itself back or to stay strong against those powerful winds. So here we have this tube, there's very little air in it, so the train moving through the tube doesn't have to push against all the air.
Okay.
It can move a lot faster.
This is very sciencey.
That's the basic idea.
Okay, well, to help make this vision a reality, the Hyperloop Alpha design was later made open source.
Oh.
That means anyone can access it. Anyone can take a look and see what's the design.
Even me?
Even you.
I know nothing about science and engineering, so I shouldn't do that.
So various Hyperloop projects are already being developed by several companies, including Virgin, which is the big famous airline company and also a record company.
That's right.
Founded by another insanely rich man in Britain. He's British, right?
Richard Branson,
Richard
yes,
Branson.
Absolutely. And I think they've actually done some testing on a small Hyperloop design. So there you go. Very interesting stuff. We will take a break and then we will be back.
Hello， 大家好， 我是 Hanny。说到伊隆马斯克，大家可能都会先想到特斯拉汽车啊，或者是 SpaceX 火箭制造公司。那么这一位超级有钱的天才，他还有什么样的计划或者是创举呢？课文就写到说，在2012年，马斯克他提出了 Hyperloop， 就是超回路列车。它不但节能，而且速度比飞机更快。那这种运输方式的概念是在封闭的管道里面，它要创造出局部真空。那由于在管道里面穿梭的这个运输舱，它所受到的空气阻力非常小，所以就可以高速进行。我们先来看4个单字 ：concept。Concept 它表示概念、观念。那么 transportation 它是表达交通工具或是运输系统。再来看 partial 是形容词，形容部分的、局部的。我们在后面加上 ly 就会变成它的副词 partially 可以表达部分地或是在某种程度上。再来看 resistance 就是阻力、抵抗或者是抵抗力的意思。那么课文接着写到，为了使这个愿景成真，超回路列车白皮书的设计后来公开了原始码，就有好几间公司，包含维珍集团，都在开发超回路列车的工程计划。那刚刚老师们聊到维珍集团的董事长 Richard Branson， 他也非常的有钱。Kim 老师还用到 insanely 这个副词来描述，那这个字拼作 insanely，insanely 表示疯狂的、狂暴的，所以 insanely rich 就可以用来描述他是疯狂爆有钱的程度。好啦，那我们接着回到课文中。
Elon Musk, from lonely nerd to billionaire.
Though Musk has had a lot of successes, he doesn't have a perfect track record. SpaceX, in particular, has seen several of its Falcon rockets explode in spectacular fashion. He has also kept Tesla factories running despite COVID-19 lockdown orders. In doing so, he risked getting arrested and caused Tesla's stock to experience a brief drop. All right, so let's find out more about Elon Musk. He's got some interesting concepts. The Hyperloop, I gotta say, sounds pretty cool, but when you think about it, I don't know if I would be one of the first people on the Hyperloop, because sometimes Elon Musk's concepts don't always work out at first.
Maybe we can put him in there first as a test.
Idea.
Yes. Though Musk has had a lot of successes, he doesn't have a perfect track record. Okay. SpaceX in particular has seen several of its Falcon rockets explode in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, it's true. When rockets blow up, it's pretty cool. But some of his rockets have blown up. But in his defense, I think they're trying to land rockets.
That
right?
must be difficult.
They're trying to make them come back down and land on top of a tower of fire. And that is kind of hard. NASA never tried anything like that because it's hard. So sometimes when you're working on these concepts, failure is part of it. But that hasn't stopped Elon Musk. It says he has also kept Tesla factories running despite COVID-19 lockdown orders. Yeah, he got in a bit of trouble, right? His factories were still working, especially last year when in California they told people to stay home. He was kind of like, COVID-19, it's just the flu. We're going to keep working. And he did get in trouble. It says in doing so, in staying open, even though they had these lockdown orders, or in doing so, he risked getting arrested and caused Tesla's stock to experience a brief drop. Yesterday we talked about investors, right?
Yes.
People who put money into business. Sometimes I think Elon Musk's investors get nervous because he'll say things or do things and they lose money because the company gets affected, and it can probably make them a little crazy. So there you go. Elon Musk. He's a genius, but he's also a little interesting. Let's take a break and we'll be back with more.
伊隆马斯克有许多成功的事迹，但他的记录并不完美。毕竟你要立下一些创举，难免就会碰到失败嘛。像 SpaceX 就经历了好几次这个猎鹰号火箭爆炸的事件。那课文接着写到说，尽管有新冠肺炎的封城令，他还是让特斯拉工厂继续运作。这样的做法使他冒着被逮捕的风险，也造成了特斯拉的股票短暂下跌。好，这边有2个重点，第一个是 keep 加上受词加上受词补语，它表示使、保持、使维持什么样的状态。那么受词补语它可以用形容词、现在分词、过去分词或者是介系词片语。例如 ，Doing crossword puzzles can help keep your mind sharp。玩填字游戏可以帮助你，让你的头脑保持灵光。那么第二个重点是 despite， 它是当介系词来表达尽管、虽然，那么后面要加名词或者是动名词。例如 Despite his success, the actor kept his feet on the ground. 尽管那位演员他有所成就，他仍然脚踏实地。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
Elon Musk, from lonely nerd to billionaire.
Musk has also tweeted about giving up all of his possessions and most of his wealth. Half of the money would go to helping solve problems on Earth, while the other half would go toward building a city on Mars. There's just one problem with this plan. Musk admits anyone heading to his Martian colony will likely die there. Is he willing to take that risk himself? Musk rarely shies away from a challenge, so of course, the answer is yes. Okay, so yes, he's made some interesting decisions, and he does occasionally tweet and announce odd things. Here's a good example. Musk has also tweeted about giving up all of his possessions and most of his wealth.
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, giving away your wealth, I guess that's a good thing,
sure.
right? Bill Gates has been giving away a lot of his wealth, a lot of his money, helping out in charities all around the world. But yeah, he also talked about giving up all of his possessions.
I don't think he's going to do that.
He's going to live in a tent on top of a mountain and have nothing around him?
No, people like to say things on Twitter when they tweet something. It's usually talking about social media site Twitter.
Right.
And Elon said some pretty crazy things on Twitter.
Interesting.
Including getting rid of all his possessions.
Yeah.
A possession is just something you own. So everything in your room, everything in your house, everything that you bought, something you own is all your possessions. And I imagine as a richest man in the world, he has quite a few possessions.
Probably. He
Yeah.
also has a wife and a kid. They probably need a few possessions.
I think they would.
You know, like clothes.
So we see here Peter sold all of his possessions and cut off his hair and became a monk.
Okay. That's kind of something you would expect if someone decides to become a monk.
Yes, they get rid of all their possessions,
Right.
no attachment to anything.
Yeah, but not the boss of a big company.
No.
Interesting. And what would he do with the money? Well, half of the money, it says, would go to helping solve problems on Earth. Okay, that's a good thing to do, and there are a lot of other wealthy people. You mentioned Bill Gates, I think Warren Buffett.
Richard Branson, as we said earlier.
Richard Branson doing the same kind of thing. So, you know, helping out poor people and the environment and education for kids who need help and all that stuff. Good stuff to do with your money when you have billions of dollars. But what would he do with the other half? Well, here's what he would do with the other half. Well, the other half would go toward building a city on Mars.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't been there yet. But Elon's
get there one
he's
day.
going to build a city there. He's got shopping malls and, you know, boutiques and movie theaters all planned in his head.
You know, shoot for the stars, literally.
Absolutely. I'm probably not going to be the first to go.
Well, there's just one problem with this plan.
Okay.
Only one.
Only one problem.
Musk admits anyone heading to his Martian colony will likely die there. That's a big problem.
Interesting. So come to my new city I built on Mars. Say goodbye to everyone you know, because you'll never see them again.
Now, is he willing to take that risk himself? Musk rarely shies away from a challenge, so of course, the answer is yes.
Oh, he's going too?
I guess he's going. He's the first one there.
Now I'll have to think about it extra carefully. But that is nice to know that he is going to, as we would say in English, put his money where his mouth is, or put his body on Mars where his new city is. Because, you know, it would make you think that he's not just at least sending other people to go. So here we have a lot of information about Elon Musk. We've read about his life in all sorts of different ways. So here's our what do you think question. What is Elon Musk's greatest accomplishment so far?
Oh, the greatest thing he has accomplished is building up so many different companies that are successful. Everyone knows PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX is doing a lot of interesting things. So yeah, not everyone can do that. That's a lot of companies.
That's actually a really good point, and they're all so different.
Yeah.
Right? It's not all
Space,
related in
cars.
computers, cars, space travel. Well, I would say I think Elon Musk's greatest accomplishment is bringing back the American space program.
Ah, yes.
Right? Because NASA had kind of, lost
Shrunk
money,
a
and
lot.
they went to the moon before, and now they weren't doing things like that. So he's kind of done that, and I think that's a good thing. Remember, for about 10 years now, any American who wanted to go to space had to get the Russians to help.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So he's kind of brought that back too. So that's a good thing that he's done. Among many other good things that he's done. Well, we might not always agree with what he does, but it's always interesting.
That's one thing you can count on with Elon Musk is whatever he'll do next will be very unique.
He will never bore us, for
No.
sure. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all back here with more great articles very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
伊隆马斯克曾经在推特上面发文说，他要放弃所有的财产，还有大部分的财富。这笔钱呢，一半会用来协助解决地球上的问题，而另一半则是用来支付在火星上新建城市的费用。哇塞！好，那我们现在看单字 possession。possession 它可以表达所有物或者是财产，这时候呢，它是当可数名词用，常常用复数型表达。那如果要用这个字来表达拥有、占有，它就是不可数名词咯。这边还有3个重点，第一个是 half of the 加上名词，或是 half the 名词逗号 while the other half 怎么样怎么样，像这样的句型可以表达一半的怎么样怎么样，而另外一半则怎么样怎么样。好，其中的 of 我们刚刚说是可以省略的，那么后半句的 other 记得要加上 the 定冠词，例如 half of the island is covered by forest。While the other half is made up of mountains， 那座岛屿一半被森林覆盖，而另一半则是由群山组成的。第二个重点是 go to 加上某人或某事物，这是表达被给予什么什么。这个主词就是被给予的事物或是物品，那必须是用这种主动的方法来表达出被动的语义。像我们在颁奖的时候，你可能会听到 And the award goes to， 可以帮我加点鼓声吗 ？And the award goes to Mr. Spencer。好，字面意思就是说这个奖属于史宾塞先生，奖被颁给他嘛，也就是像我们中文说的，得奖的是史宾塞先生。好，再来我们看第3个重点是 go toward 或是 go towards， 它表示帮助支付什么什么，那么之后是接名词或动名词。好，这时候它的主词常常是金钱，例如Your donations will go toward improving the lives of children suffering from cancer。 您的捐献将会用来改善癌症病童的生活。好，那么可以在火星上居住，听起来是不是还蛮酷的？麦克老师就开玩笑说，伊隆马斯克他可能会在上面盖个购物中心啊，盖精品店啊，盖电影院等等。可是呢，他觉得他绝对不要去当这个第一批去火星上的人。毕竟马斯克他自己都承认说，任何前往他的火星殖民地的人都有可能会死在那边。不过相信他自己本人还是愿意会冒险前往火星的。麦克老师刚刚用到 boutique 这个字就表示精品店，这个字是拼作 B-O-U-T-I-Q-U-E boutique。老师还有提到一个用语叫做 Put your money where your mouth is， 字面意思是像是把你的钱放在嘴巴的地方，这其实是用来表达以行动证明自己的话，也就是可以用来劝别人说要拿出实际行动，别光说不练。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Elon Musk, from lonely nerd to billionaire.
In 2012, Musk mentioned a concept for a mode of transportation that would be energy efficient and faster than an airplane. The Hyperloop involves creating a partial vacuum inside a sealed tube. A pod traveling through this tube has very little air resistance, so it can travel at great speeds. To help make this vision a reality, the Hyperloop Alpha design was later made open source. Various Hyperloop projects are already being developed by several companies, including Virgin. Though Musk has had a lot of successes, he doesn't have a perfect track record. SpaceX, in particular, has seen several of its Falcon rockets explode in spectacular fashion. He has also kept Tesla factories running despite COVID-19 lockdown orders. In doing so, he risked getting arrested and caused Tesla's stock to experience a brief drop. Musk has also tweeted about giving up all of his possessions and most of his wealth. Half of the money would go to helping solve problems on Earth, while the other half would go toward building a city on Mars. There's just one problem with this plan. Musk admits anyone heading to his Martian colony will likely die there. Is he willing to take that risk himself? Musk rarely shies away from a challenge, so of course, the answer is yes.
Nanshizhou MRT station is the first stop on the Zhonghe-Xinlu line. Each day, it transports over 40,000 people. Due to its proximity to a school zone, there are lots of restaurants nearby. There is a traditional market which sells fresh produce and seafood. KTVs, clothing shops, and lifestyle stores are also not far from the station. Xingnan Night Market is a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. It has numerous food and merchant stands. Myanmar Street has all kinds of Southeast Asian food. Visitors can try delicious Indian naan or Thai sour and spicy noodles. Every April, Myanmar culture is celebrated with its water festival. Don't miss the fine cuisine and unique Southeast Asian atmosphere here.
See you next time!